Hariom, everyone. So glad we're together this evening. Really excited about today's workshop, which really is designed to help us practice what we're learning and to get creative with our practices of repurposing. But before we get started, we'd like to do a little bit of a check-in from our last month. Last month, we were inspired by our Pioneers for the Planet. They shared their progress on their projects, and I think all of us who were there really felt their enthusiasm. In fact, the two youngest teams that we've had, the Earth Children and Superhero Heroes, they were able to share their projects and spread their reach into various retreats that Vivekji has held in various centers over the last several months. And in case you've missed their pitches, and then this last month, April's update on their projects, we do have a separate playlist now on YouTube for the Pioneers for the Planet. And so we've broken those up so you can just see each team's videos. So do check that out when you're able. So during the month of April, we engaged. Our action to implement for the month was to engage in the efforts for awe, which I think probably everybody here knows about, but just a quick recap. It's basically for us for air. So awe stands for air, water, earth. And for air, to plant 1,008 plants, and for water to donate to Water for People. And then for earth is to, as a community, collectively to give 1,008 hours to cleaning litter. And so what we would like us to do is to have a little bit of a check-in to see how all of that went for us. And we're going to do a quick poll to see how everyone did. So when that pops up, please share how you did. So did you plant plants? And for the second question, it's a little bit more reflective in the sense of how did it go when you were cleaning? For me, particularly, it was a mix of emotions in terms of a little bit of frustration with how much is out there, but then also knowing that we're following our responsibilities. And our third was specifically to encourage youth to participate. So it looks like a lot of us have had some of those mixed emotions as well. And most of us have put in a lot of effort. And we've done well also with encouraging youth to participate. And it looks like we still have a few that can respond, so please, let's get our numbers up. All right. Kanchan, are we waiting on a few still?
I can end the poll in like a couple of seconds. So if anyone has, please do submit. Okay, I'm gonna end it.
Yeah, all our numbers are high though for the responses that we're looking for in terms of actually like planting and then the cleaning and then doing that with acceptance and then engaging youth. And that's actually a great segue into what we'll transition to next. We did specifically ask our Loving Earth community to engage youth into the efforts for awe. And we've had the pictures that we've seen on the website have anywhere from preschoolers all the way up to chicks that have been involved in the effort. And that's been from Balvihar students all the way up to the chick level. So gratitude to everyone that's engaged the youth. We do have a couple of high schoolers from the Boston area that are here today to share with us how their experience was. So I'd like to invite Arjun and Karthik to share their experiences with us. Hariom.
Hariom. I'm Karthik. I'm a senior at Andover, Chinmay. And so we went on a hike at a local hill in Andover, and basically we just like grabbed some trash bags and some gloves, and we went on the trail, and we were just like picking up trash wherever we saw it, mostly like candy wrappers and like bottles and stuff. And then when we got into the top, we played Jeopardy. I think me and Arjun, our group won that game. But there were questions from like Vedanta and like our Chinmaya curriculum, but also about like sustainability and how we can I guess work on that. So we like brainstormed ways we can help the community, whether that was like individually, like through activism, or like community, like through volunteering and stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, so Hariom, my name is Arjun, and I would also like to add, along with Karthik, we did a lot of fun games and a lot of socializing with our peers. We had topics such as physical activity in the Jeopardy with the game, along with Vedanta and different Gita chapters. And overall, the experience was great. We like experienced the great weather. It was a nice smell being in the woods and that hiking trail. And yeah, it was a great experience overall.
Thank you, Arjun. Thank you, Karthik. Lots of learning, I'm sure. So really, really happy that you were engaged, and hopefully you'll do it again sometime. I think what you all said about also reflecting on the experience itself and then sort of connecting that experience and what you did with Vedanta is really what this community is about. So we're really glad to hear that. So thank you everyone for the efforts. Also, we're really close to reaching our goals. The cleaning litter, I think, is taking a little more time than anticipated, but we'll get there. So thank you all for that. So now we'll transition over to our workshop today. I'm super excited to introduce Sapna and Ragini, which I think most of us know, who are sincere seekers in the community. They're environmentalists as well. And the other thing both of them have in common is their creativity. So they're here to help us with our creativity and combine that with our love for Earth. So looking forward to both of you sharing, and thank you for being here. Hariom.
Hariom, thank you so much for having us. My name is Sapna. I'm part of the Chinmay Mission Boston community. I'm based in Boston, and have been a part of Loving Earth basically since it was started, and have learned so much from this community over that time. And it's been amazing also to engage our local high schoolers, as you just heard in our Balvihar program as well. Today, Ragini Akka and I are going to talk about repurposing with purpose. And the idea is for us to start thinking about the materials that we acquire, maybe because we need them at some point, giving them a second life or a second use once they have fulfilled their first purpose. In the framework, we often hear reduce, reuse, recycle, and Vivekji often encourages us to think what comes before reduce, which is refuse. And so Ragini Akka and I will show some demos of things, but I want to underscore, try to think about how you can apply this with with things that you already have at home. So maybe don't consider this a moment to go buy something just because you see a demo today. Instead, think of this as a framework or an invitation for you also to express your creativity in your own way with whatever you might have at home. With that, just to get us to think a little bit about the topic of repurpose, I wanted to invite everyone to join me on this Menti to answer a couple of questions. The first is to help us reflect on where we think we're generating the most waste today. So where do you think you generate the most waste after a single or only a few uses? And the link to vote on this will be in the chat as well. So the choices we put on here were you think you might generate the most waste in the kitchen, for example, with new appliances, etc. With clothing, of course, we might be familiar with the trend of fast fashion, but just in general, the cycle of what to do once clothes become worn. Hobbies, so arts or sports, how that can bring single or few use items into our life, and then home items is the last choice. But looks like most folks don't feel that is where they're generating single-use items, single-use waste. We'll take 10 more seconds on this. Okay, great. So several areas where we notice ourselves generating waste. The next question is more open-ended. It's about what is something that you have repurposed or given a new life. So if you're part of our Loving Earth WhatsApp, you will have seen Juiji posted a poll in the chat about something that you've maybe already tried to repurpose. So maybe think about that, or even if you haven't seen that poll, what is something that you've taken and made something new? And the example I'll give, which I've seen in almost every Indian household I've been to, is a yogurt container that's repurposed for something else if it's in the fridge, or the butter cookies tin that everyone seems to have that never has actual cookies in there. But what is it that you think you have repurposed, maybe that you have at home? So I'm seeing lots of textiles, tablecloths, clothing, socks, pillows, notebooks, artworks, plastic bags, glass jars. Yeah, all great ideas. Dried paint, that's interesting. I'd be curious to learn more if whoever put that can share in the chat what you do with that. Wonderful. Okay, so several different materials that we're all trying to repurpose, and we have a few demos to illustrate that as well. Then I'd like us all to think about what kinds of skills do you have that could support repurposing materials? And this is also pretty open-ended. We can think about maybe you have skills that help you repair certain things, which makes them either not just a repurpose, but more functional than they were. You're more likely or less likely to have to throw it away because it doesn't break down. Maybe you know something like sewing, which allows you to change a t-shirt into a bag. And maybe it's a mindset thing, as some have shared here. Having a creative mind, being open-minded are all ways that support us to repurpose as well. Yes, I like passion not to waste. that is something that really resonates with me. And almost anytime I have to get rid of a material, I go through all of the possible scenarios in my head of where it might end up. And, my partner might be frustrated at times because it means we have a pile of things that are not yet disposed of because I'm trying to find the right place to get rid of it. I see fix electronics. That's a great skill to have here too. Sewing, crafting, creativity are all popular, which is wonderful. Great. So great to think about these skills that we all have innately within us, or we have just the creative mindset and curiosity to see how we can repurpose the things that we might already have. So with that, I want to now turn to a few demos, some that I'll show here, and then I'll turn it over to Raginiaka as well. So I'm going to switch cameras actually. Give me a minute here to set up. And hopefully you can see me now. Great. Okay, so today I thought I'd show you all how I like to repurpose candles. So sometimes I get candles as gifts, but then I feel I don't have to necessarily make them a one-use product. I can, because often they come in glass jars, they're easier to repurpose. The first thing I want to mention is that often they come with these like wooden lids, which I find are a nice replacement for coasters that we can use for like heat safe things, or also at the table to put mugs and such on. To really reuse a candle and maybe clean it out properly, this may be something that people already know, but I usually just put boiling water in it. That allows the wax to float to the top. So if you like come close to here and see, all the wax that's at the bottom rises, and what it forms if you let this cool over time is a bunch of that wax. And I did this one earlier in the day, so I wanted to show you what it looks like then. But basically, whatever remainder of wax, and there's a point where the candle will stop burning, but there's still some wax left, that can be completely removed. Then what I do with this is we actually have a wax warmer, so I would just use it for that. But maybe if you would like to experiment with candle making yourself, you could, of course, warm this back up, put a new wick in, and make a mixed candle with all the scents you might have at home. But that allows then the inside to get totally clean. It gets rid of all the wax. And then what you'll end up with is a totally clean jar. So this used to be a candle. I really like that it says Namaste on it. And I thought today I'll show you what I do with some of the flowers or bouquets that come into our home. So this was, for example, a lily that came into our home a few weeks ago, and how I dry the flowers. So I will tie a rubber band around the edge of a bunch of flowers usually, and I'll just hang it from a hook either in our kitchen area or in a spot that might get a little bit of sunlight. It just has to be somewhere that has a lot of air and ventilation so that the flower dries and it's not really disturbed. And I think this looks just as beautiful and retains a lot of its properties as it did when it was a live flower as well. And right now, there's a trend I feel around these flowers. I think they're called forever flowers because basically you can dry them and enjoy them any time of the year, basically forever. So these are all similar flowers that I've dried from different bouquets that have come into the house. So there's some lavender that we had. This also, for example, I had tied and let dry completely. And so then this can be repurposed completely. A candle jar that was before having a candle in it can turn into something kind of new that maybe makes a good gift or something that you can take to somewhere else, or it can just be to brighten up your own space. Yeah, the only thing with this is once they're dry, they're a little delicate. So you have to be a little careful with it, mindful with it, but that's part of the fun. And the fun thing is that as I dry different flowers, I might swap things out. I also actually use the buds, like these kinds of buds, at our altar as well. And I like that they just can stay there without needing to be replaced. So let's say I would put a bunch in here. And there you go. This becomes a bouquet that we could set out either for ourselves here, or maybe we would gift it to somebody else. And it's a completely repurposed gift in that none of this was bought for this project specifically. It's just stuff that came into our home and then got a new purpose like this. The other small thing that I wanted to show is that I've been using these. These are, can anyone guess what this is? Actually, maybe I'll check the chat. Yeah, Raganyaka says votive holder, but what do you think it originally was? Maybe you have to get close to see what. So there's some rims on the inside. Yeah, it's a medicine lid, as Raganyaka said. Yeah, but I noticed that the size was actually perfect for these tea lights. So it's a vitamin holder, actually. So I will continue to take these vitamins. So I'll have a couple of these, and then they make a nice candle holder for, say, Deepavali or something that, again, is totally repurposed from just things that have come into our home. So those were the demos that I wanted to share live, and I'm going to switch back to my computer just to share a few more examples, just visual examples. Okay, hopefully you can see my screen. Yeah, so we talked through repurposing candle jars with cut flowers and leaves that can be dried today. And then here I repurposed using the wooden candle base, which I showed you all, something that can be, if you have some power tools at home, can even be drilled through, and some wire that I had from our like gardening and home supplies. And with this one, any guesses on what this could be turned into? Just these two things. Otherwise, I will just share a flower. That's a good guess. Yes. So basically, making a sketch on a paper, like a wax paper, and then using pliers to reshape the wire. What I created was an outline or a line drawing of Bhagwan Ganesha, and I drilled into the candle base to make it stand up. The plant that's shown here, I bought that, but then this was repurposed into a gift for somebody's wedding, so to wish them well. And I thought it was a nice, pretty much most of it was something that, came from different parts around the home that I, thought to put together. And so just some ideas for you all as you think about what else you could do with things at home. Then it is an air plant, Anvitaji. Another example I wanted to share, so candle tins. I feel like I've been talking a lot about candles, but we have a lot of candles at home that need repurposing after. So after these are actually burnt through and I remove all the wax, what I tend to do with this one is turn them around, drill or use a nail to just cut a few holes in them. And then they make really cute planters for succulents and other smaller plants. Like spider plants also would look nice in this. And you can even use the lid later as a base to catch any water that needs to be drained. This also makes a nice gift or just to brighten up your own space as well. that's what I had for you, and I'll turn it over to Ragini Akka. Hariom.
Hariom, everyone. Thank you, Sapna, for that interactive session. Loved it. So useful and easy at the same time. I wish I knew all these techniques to dry flowers earlier. Thank you to Vivekji and this team for the opportunity for us to present these ideas. Oftentimes, when we think of big celebrations or parties, we waste time, money, and resources in hopes of giving people happiness. Instead, why not focus on celebrating the people important to us while we still remember the earth that gave them to us? So let us do our part for creation, the creator, by firstly refusing, like how Sapna mentioned earlier, and by not spending our time and resources on just stuff, meaningless stuff, and reducing, and then repurposing, creating quality experiences for us and people around us. So the idea is to repurpose any artwork for whatever I'm going to present, any artwork which may be lying around at home, and we should have multiple people that can come together to work to produce a meaningful product for us to cherish for future. The huger the artwork you have, that is better for us, because if you have so many people coming, it will be better to give us all some space to work on. So I will share a video for the demo. And then I'll share a little bit more later.
I have this painting here lying around for years now. I haven't hung on the wall yet, and I still don't know what to do with it. So I'm going to repurpose this. And I have a few magazines here, and I'm going to tear these the color parts of this magazine. Blues here, some reds, some yellows that would go on top of this painting. You briefly saw the reference, the lotus one. So I'm going to quickly chart out wherever I want the lotus to be on this painting, on top of this painting. So I'm roughly giving you an idea. I'm mixing some glue or painting medium, whatever it is, in some water and going over on the painting like so. The background of the reference is green, but I'm going to do some blue as well. So I started sticking these sheets of paper, the pieces of paper onto this. Very random. You can do green as well. So I'm going to go with some green. Remember that we will be painting over this anyway. So just give a reference of some blue and green for the water. So I went around sticking all these pieces of paper, were blue or green predominantly, and then went around the main lotus. Now slowly going over the lotus itself. All these reds, I'm just going to paste them like how we went over with blue or green. So I went over with the reds right now. Now we just have to let it dry. It dries really quickly. So if you're having people over, just hang out for some time. You come back, and this is ready for you to paint over and make it the way you want it to look. This canvas has now dried, and I'm going to give an outline for this lotus, like so, just to give me an idea where I can go, where my boundaries are, just to give you an idea. Not that it has to be perfect. Meanwhile, when there are so many of participants in this particular project, we can have positive messages all around. Congratulations, love Earth, plant more, whatever meaningful messages that we want to give, we can, and encourage the participants to write more on this canvas. And doesn't matter if paint goes over, it can be transparent. It's all up to us to decide what we want to do. Now I have a basic outline of the lotus, and I have some paint here, white, blue, yellow, red, and some brown. So I'll start giving a better outline. Like so. Since this is water, I'm going to paint like so. I'll keep painting and I will catch up with you shortly. Just give me a little bit so I can work on this. So I went over the background with some blues, different shades. So there is a water kind of movement there. And then I did not cover up these words here. Wherever you want to not cover, make sure that you just, lightly paint over it. Now I'll go over this lotus with some pink. I'm going to complete this and meet you back here again. So I went over with the reds, some whites, some yellows, and now I'm going to give some indication of reflection here, just randomly. On the water. And now let's make this part a little darker. To show some depth. And as you can see, I can still see a lot of the paper, So just keep the essence of simplicity here. A little bit more darker. And since it's water, some whites here and there. And look at how it has turned out. To finish, I'm going to give some glow just around here. And that's it. I'm going to stop.
Well, that was a brief demo for you. So this idea I showcased today is one where I had a few high school students in the past that we worked together during a summer camp. And Kanchan, if you can quickly spotlight Varsha Shah. That the piece behind her is actually done by high school students, and we had a really good time doing that artwork. The same kind of a process, and you can still see the writing on the paper. So that was that. And Kanchan, if we are done, we can switch back. Thank you. So instead of just limiting these ideas just to the important events when we face situations in our everyday lives where we can be more intentional and resourceful, there are other projects where you can recycle these kinds of stuff where you can store files. This Sapna's files not to touch. These and I do have the same idea can be applied to bags, where when we receive gifts or return gifts, or restaurants where we get orders from, instead of heading to a store to buy gift bags, we can create these. They're from Halloween that I had. So repurposing those to these kinds of cute looking bags, where you can also have meaningful messages for people. So these are a few ideas that you can use. And we should definitely talk about these projects to others, so we are actually influencing friends and family to be more mindful about such important matters. So that's it from my side. I will give it back to Rita.
Thank you so much. This is lovely. I think we could just go on and watch both of you create so much more. So thank you so much. I think now what we'll do is have you both back on with us and have any questions that anyone has, or would love to hear others' ideas as well. There's so many things around our homes, and Sapna, I would love to have you come and look at all my wires and help me design something. But just open to anyone that wants to share, has any questions. We actually have lots of time for that, so please ask and share.
Hari Om. I had a question about the flowers, drying them. Is there a time where we should do it? Is it as soon as they're cut or we get in, or can we have it sit in the house for a couple of weeks and then start drying them up, putting them upside down?
Yeah, great question. No, you can definitely enjoy them. And just as you're starting to see them brown, where maybe typically you would start to feel like, oh, it's time to maybe throw them, is when you can invert them and try them. I will say that not every flower makes a good dried flower, so it does take a little bit of trial and error to figure out what you like. The ones that tend to have a lot of petals, like for example, the ones that we use for sometimes they're used for pujas, the ones that have tons of petals, those become a little mushed when you dry them. So some of the other ones, those tend to retain their shape.
I had a question, Sapna, regarding what tool do you use to bend those wires?
I use
recommend you? Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. I actually just use pliers. And so that wire is pretty tough in that you really need to use pliers, or if you don't have pliers for whatever reason, you could use like a fork also, just between the two parts of the fork. You could probably do the same thing. Just make sure you wear goggles or wear your glasses. Is what I learned too, because the wire can go flying around.
Hari Om, thank you, girls. It was beautiful. I was just going to show you something. I have a bunch of kettles that the lids are broken. You know, like these glass ones. So some of them I use for like different flags. And then some of them I use for putting like the kids' crayons and pencils and all of that. And then because the kids are still young, I have them on top. But once they are older, then of course you can, repurpose and recycle them. The other thing I was going to suggest also is like you use the candle holders for different things, right? And sometimes you're always looking for a place to stick the incense. So when you have like little bits of candle wax left over, what I do is I put it in like a smaller votive like you showed, and then I stick the incense sticks in there. So that way you got what I said, right?
Yeah, it's a wonderful idea.
And
Yeah.
then just use a plate or like, like a little uh, a thing at the bottom so that the ash from the incense stick doesn't fall on your counter. And then you can just, use that. So, those things I just thought I'll share that with you.
Razors, I have no idea. I need to research this. Any ideas, Sapna?
No idea on that one. I know that toothbrushes were also in the chat. Once our toothbrushes are beyond like use for teeth, then we tend to use it for cleaning, but that's about it. Like a scrubber.
I did the two thoughts I had. One with the toothbrush I've seen is like with my nephews and niece, we use it for painting. So if you like splatter with it, they really like doing it. We obviously have to put a lot of newspaper around for them to do that. But when they're trying to color, instead of just doing a regular coloring, if they just spray with the toothbrush, it's something they enjoy doing. So they repurpose it for that quite a bit. And the one thing I've seen with razors is if you use the like the toilet roll, like the end, the cardboard of it, if you cut through it, you can actually use it for keeping your gift wrap paper or any kind of roll of paper that you have. So it's something that can keep it together, so it doesn't keep flying over or it doesn't keep repurposing. If you're using it for gift paper, if you put a razor on that part where you've cut it, you can actually use it to cut it. Like if you slide it up and down, you can cut the gift paper accordingly. So some of the older razors, you can do that if you take off, like if it has that screw and you can take off the razor. I had a question for you, Ragini. For the painting, that, by the way, was, oh my God, awesome. Because initially I thought it was just like the paper sticking and stuff, but then actually coloring it up and stuff, it looked so, so beautiful. Is there a special type of paper? Like if we use, the magazine paper and stuff, it's a little glossy and all that. So does the paint stay on it, or is it a special type of paint?
The acrylic paint just stays fine. It just stays fine. Yeah. And I've used newspapers, I've used magazines. Not necessarily there has to be any color. You can decide what you want to paint on it. So a background which is like full of newspaper and just painting with yellow, where you can actually see the letters, that's fine too. It actually makes a very good background.
Thank you.
Hari Om. So Ragini, as you were showing the box, Sapna's box, I wanted to show something that Srishti made the other day. And she used one of the, I think, shoe box or something. And she made her keepsake box with all the different kind of decorations around. And there is a family picture.
This is so awesome.
And I think she also made a box, a different one, as a gift for me for my birthday. And she put some, I don't know, gifts inside the box, but that was a gift box she made.
That's brilliant. That's the way to go. Let's go, Shrishti.
So I wanted to share that. And I also have a friend here. She is big with repurposing, and she does a lot of things. So
Yeah, hi, Hariom. So I mainly work with fabric, and I make scraps. I turn into quilts or multiple things, taking scraps of fabric, even like a sari or something, cut it into pieces and, sew it together to make a quilt kind of thing. And even clothes.
frocks, like dresses.
Dresses. This one actually we did a donation drive at our Chinmaya Mission Center, and this was too tight for me, so I kind of uh, altered it to fit myself. And I think I have made some for Usha too.
Yeah, like saris to little frocks for Srishti. So that is, Meera is my go-to person, and she also have made like bags. So with cloths that she doesn't use, make like travel bags and carry-on bags, shopping bags. So many things, many examples with fabric.
Thank you, Usha, for sharing. And is this Meera?
Yes,
Yeah, thank you, Meera, for
that.
making this and sharing this with us. I think these life skills are really important. Sewing is so important. I think all the kids this generation should definitely be taught so they can repurpose meaningfully. Yeah.
Thank you.
Rita, I really wanted to make the t-shirt idea, but I didn't have time today. I'm so sorry. I really couldn't. But the t-shirt idea is really good to convert those into bags. Same with pillowcases. Pillowcases are very easy to work with, and they're already sewn. The bottom part is sewn. You just have to take the top part and make it into a bag. Broken plates, mosaic art. So that is one thing that can be done with broken plates. You mix a base of cement or even Sculpey. Many of them use Sculpey for artwork. So we can lay that down and then put the broken pieces. Maybe we can store different broken pieces for different colors and then use them together as a project. Sudarshan, did you mean broken containers? Any
So
ideas?
yeah, otherwise with regular containers, I also use them for like either the plant bases sometimes. So like the tofu comes in this rectangular container. I usually put a like a square planter inside that if I need to bottom water. So you can just put water in the outside container, the tofu container, and it'll like rise into whatever I'm planting. So I use that for microgreens or sprouts or things that are pretty quick to grow so that we can have some fresh greens from time to time.
I think I use them for paintbrushes, to clean paintbrushes.
Yeah, Ritaka put a good idea about if supplies are needed just for some projects sometimes. Often cities or towns might have a creative reuse center. So there's a store here in Cambridge, for example, that you can buy odds and ends of art supplies. So say I want to start something and may not have, I don't need a full roll of ribbon. I just need a small piece. I can go somewhere like there, and it's usually things others have dropped off that they're done with from their projects, so I can pick it up there.
Also, Rita, do you think the Loving Earth community will encourage people to borrow their stuff so they can also do that, right? In the area that they belong, they can ask in the group.
Used shoes, I haven't found a really great solution other than making sure it goes to the right sort of recycling center. Really, and I'm talking about when they're worn beyond like being able to donate it for someone else to wear. Old clothing, I think someone had put in the chat earlier, but t-shirts and such could be cut up and used for rags around the home. Once clothing is like really beyond even being able to be used for that, if it's shredded, it could also be used to fill pillows like this, like the one that's behind me. And so it can be like as if the cotton fill that could be inside decorative pillow, etc.
You can also make rugs out of them if you want to just tie each and then braid it together to make rugs.
I know a few people had mentioned handiwork earlier in the Mentee, so just inviting if anyone wants to share how you use that to repurpose things, or even if you can share examples of repairing things around the home that has extended the life of the object.
I'll actually share. In our home, we've done like reupholstering projects. So instead of replacing 6 chairs in our like the chair I'm sitting in, the fabric was, torn or whatever it might be. So we were able to remove that bottom seat and just get the fabric and replace that fabric rather than replacing the full table and chairs. Same with our island chairs. Also, our table we've had since we've been married, I think. So just restaining it, and also then trying to make sure you're using the right type of stain with the low chemicals and things like that. So just coming up with those options that where we don't have to buy new really is, I think, that the passion part that something you talked about, with that creativity comes when you have that purpose in mind. So otherwise, I think the question comes, well, how do you do something like that? I've never thought of that. But then when you start looking, there's so many ideas out there.
I will actually share as well in that so my brother-in-law actually redid his, he has an unfinished basement and he didn't really want to finish it because the kids still play around and stuff. So he basically, when we redid our top floor and we took off the carpets and stuff. So he took those carpets and he used that and he taped it all around the basement so the kids could still use it as the play area. And then the older curtains and everything that we had, he used it all across the where the insulation was and stuff. So at least the insulation is still there and it looks beautiful. So he can host people for parties and stuff, but the kids can play around and bang each other on the supposedly walls and not hurt their head because they love doing those kind of things. But it actually, most of the stuff in the basement now looks, even the poles that are there, he covered it all up with the curtains that were there. So he just like old cloth and stuff, which you just cover the whole thing, especially the shiny cloths and all. And it looks beautiful because now that whole thing does not look like it's unfinished basement. And even though they had plans after 5 or 6 years to redo it, but they haven't done their basement now. So it's just the unfinished basement and used as the kids' play area and a party area too for them.
And I think the other side benefit is the cost savings that comes with that also. There's a lot of cost savings. So I think we're coming close to a close. So I'd like to thank both of you so much for all of your ideas and creativity. And I think this is just the start. I think we're seeing a lot about, we should do more of these. And there's so many different areas just in our lifestyle where we could apply these concepts. So thank you very, very much for being here and lots of fun. So now I'd like to just share a few more points. We do every month after a workshop, we ask all to engage in a specific action. And so now that we've had our creativity sparked, what we'd like everyone to think about first is what we've shared today. So maybe make a list of the things that you have been doing, repurposed, try a new repurpose project, and I'll take out the word maybe. So let's make our list of things that we've already done, try something new, and then we'd like you to share it with us. So we do have a WhatsApp group, a Loving Earth WhatsApp group. So if you're not part of that, that's where a lot of our ideas are shared. And if you're not already in that, we'll share that link with you to join. So over the course of the month, we look forward to having seeing those ideas come through, and perhaps that'll spark another workshop that we can gather again and talk about those ideas. So the other thing is we actually just got, for those that have been involved in the efforts for, we just got an update on our numbers. We have passed our goal for planting plants. So thank you, everyone. We're at 1,237 plants planted, and our hours are up to 423. So that is wonderful. Thank you, everyone. We do still have a few days left. So we do need to meet our goal for the Water for People charity as well as our hours. So thank you, everyone. And next month, we will have a workshop. I think Sapna alluded to this when we were doing answering the question is a topic on fast fashion. And our very own Nina will be presenting on that. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining. Everyone have a good evening, and we'll see you next month.